Miguel, biggest day ever in Bitcoin history. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Why are you why are you so reluctant to admit that it was the biggest day ever for Bitcoin?
Because I just hate the SEC. That's it.
You just
That's all
hate
I'm
the
saying.
SEC.
I'm not
Well,
gonna get myself in trouble
go
talking
ahead,
about.
do it. Come on. Are you a rebel or what, huh? Lay it out there.
I really hate Gary from the SEC. That's all I'm saying.
I
That's
know.
all I'm saying.
I know.
I
And
hate
he's
that guy.
even since the launch of the ETF, he said, "I'm not supporting Bitcoin, just be careful." It's
He's
like,
still talking shit. Yeah, I know. No, all right. Not only is he talking shit, but he went on and said that he was talking about money laundering and like all this other bullshit, right? And here I am thinking like, what is this guy talking about? You know how many trillions of dollars have been thrown into like money laundering through dollars and
yeah,
all this shit he said?
every drug transaction in the history, including today, like
It's it's through it's
you
through the
think, yeah,
almighty dollar.
yeah. I mean, look at every bad thing that's happened pre-Bitcoin that you could not say was Bitcoin's fault. All the sex trafficking, all the child trafficking, all the human trafficking, all the drugs, all the whatever, all the buy-offs. It was all cash. All the murder
All
for
cash.
hires, all cash.
Like let's talk about that instead of talking about Bitcoin. Like
Yeah,
this is
Gary.
no, but it's true. I hate when he says like you use Bitcoin and its transactions for like sexual or whatever and drugs and all this bullshit. What the fuck is this guy talking about? How, trillions and trillions of dollars have been
I know.
used to do the same exact shit.
I know.
Like,
It's like,
come on,
yeah.
stop. Just say you hate Bitcoin. That's it. I'll be more happy if he just comes down and says, "Hey, guys, listen,
Yeah,
I
this
really
is
hate Bitcoin, and that's it.
yeah.
Just say it." Now, what do you think about the ETF? You think it's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good way to get more money into it. I think it's a good way to give more legitimacy to cryptocurrency. And should this work out for those investment firms, then maybe they'll be more willing to jump into Ethereum or other altcoins. I think an interesting question that I heard raised was, there's a finite amount of Bitcoin, right? So are these institutions now going to hold on to so much that it becomes harder to acquire over time? And maybe, I
The
mean,
answer is yes.
if anything, that just raises the scarcity of it, which makes it more valuable, right? Which, of course, makes it
Yeah.
harder to get into. But that's one of the beauties of Bitcoin is the scarcity, right? Some altcoins, some cryptocurrencies have no limit or have an insane amount of supply. What makes Bitcoin so beautiful is it's just these 21 million coins,
Yeah.
and that's all it'll ever be. So if that's the thing people want, I mean, let them go get it, and let that be motivation for you to start now.
The problem with it is that the more ETFs that we get from like BlackRock and like all the Grayscale, all these huge institutions, I feel like the more control they're going to have over Bitcoin.
In some way, I mean, they might have more influence in regulation, but in terms of the contract and the code, like the code's the code. You can't change anything. You can't change the halvings. You can't change the hashing or the block transactions or anything like that. But if anything, they'll have more influence over the regulation that comes out.
Yeah,
Pulling
I
up,
guess.
I've got the chart pulled up here for Bitcoin. Let's look at the last 7 days. It was a real a real roller coaster. The day it got approved. Well, it was approved Wednesday. Trading started Thursday, and had a nice boom in the morning. I think it hit. I think it touched 49,000 at some point, and then it just slowly started to decline. And people are saying it's a sell the news event, and I've heard a lot of those predictions and projections before it was even approved that it'll spike and then there'll be a slow drift back, maybe 20% loss, even some people said, and then start to
Yeah.
climb back up. So I think that's probably what we're seeing now is that pullback. And I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions, even from a regulation stand by these or for these investment companies. So maybe they're
Hmm.
not ready to dive in or to continue to accumulate. But looking at an article from Reuters.com, it said there was $4.6 billion in volume
On the
in the
first
first
day, yeah.
day of ETF trading. So that's 4.6 of ETFs, not Bitcoin. But the ETFs, that almost says more because the ETFs are cheaper to get into than a Bitcoin. So it was, a ton of transactions happening that morning. Um, the article mentions a few of the investment companies that are participating. I think one that people were surprised about was Vanguard saying they're not going to participate. So some people moved their money out of that. Um, but overall, I think it's good. I'm excited to see where it goes. It keeps it in the conversation, in the zeitgeist of where we
Yeah,
are these days. What are your projections on this?
I think that part of the reason why it went down so much too in the last couple of days too is because a lot of people bought in when it really dived into the 30s, right? And I think that all those people that bought in into the 30s are now scared that it might happen again, so now they're selling at whatever they think the top is, which is now.
Yeah,
I think so. I think at some point or another it's just going to level off. I mean, I said this from the beginning that this was going to happen even before the ETFs got approved. I don't know if you remember, but I tweeted it and I said it a couple of times that I think once the ETFs gets approved, it's gonna skyrocket on the news, and then it's gonna plateau again, because you're gonna have selling pressure from people that got into the 30s or whatever that really bought high and is making a quick buck. Try to turn it around where they think the high is. But I think at some point it's gonna plateau and it's gonna go back up again. But um, I have confidence on the ETF on the buying pressure that's going to come eventually at some point within the next couple of weeks or so. But I think Bitcoin's going to continue to rally up. I don't know where we will end up at the end of the year, but I mean I think that it'll definitely be close to the ATH that we were at 60, 65, 67,
is this
whatever
the
it was, maybe
highest
more.
start for a year? Even not like pre ETF, January 1. Is this the highest start we've had for a year in Bitcoin? Because we
Yeah,
started the year at, over 40,000.
yeah, yeah. This is the highest.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it ends for the year. I mean, the last year ended at like 16,000, right? Could you imagine dropping down to
Hmm.
16,000 now?
Yeah,
It feels so weird. It was such a slow climb back. The last 10,000 really pushed through in Q4, but
yeah.
it'd be weird to drop back down to like 16,000. But a
Well,
lot of people are, yeah, go ahead.
I don't think this time it'll drop that much. Obviously, if you look at the charts for Bitcoin, they kind of follow the same suit. The last every 2 years or every 3 years,
Yeah,
it follows the exact same suit. The difference now is that the ETFs are guaranteed, so the ETFs are going to be there regardless. So that
yeah,
selling pressure is not going to be felt as much. So I think that yeah, is it going to go down probably in a few years again? Yeah, because that's usually what happens in the market. I mean, that happens in the regular stock market. Not as volatile as Bitcoin, but it does happen. But I do think that with the ETFs, I think that selling pressure is going to be felt a lot less. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. And almost to that point, like it'll be interesting to see how these investment firms respond to crazy price drops like that, right? There's volatility in
Yeah.
stock markets, but I think in crypto, it could be even bigger swings. And sure, you could 2x or 5x, who knows what Bitcoin will do over the next year, but it'll be interesting to see if it really drops down to under 20, what do they do? Do they just keep buying more because they have faith that it'll go back up? I mean, I was
Hmm.
I was telling my wife, like, I have no doubt that Bitcoin will eventually hit 100,000. So
Oh
it's just a
yeah.
matter of time, right? It's just a
Yeah, for
matter of
sure.
time.
It's all it is. Just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the regular stock market, there's a lot of ETFs in the regular stock market. So I think that keeps it from the volatility part because you can own stock of whatever, right? But if there was no ETFs or like 401ks or anything like that that's long lasting, it would have the same volatility as
Right.
as crypto,
Right.
100%, right? But people don't realize that. People just think like the volatility of like crypto, blah blah blah. They just don't know. They don't know the market. I've been investing for years, so I follow all these charts and all this crap, and I read a lot on it. So I think that's part of the reason why that happens.
Yeah.